Recently, I heard the voice of Alan Wright crackle through the radio static as I listened to his sermon on 105.7 The Truth.
Through what he suffers, when you read these stories, you start realizing this is not a comic book hero. This is a real hero.
He was describing how Jesus is not a comic book hero, and that he is in fact a real hero. He established a difference between the heroics of Christ and the tales of heroes that we tell for our entertainment. The heroics of Christ gave salvation to the world and carved a path for mankind to enter the kingdom of heaven. As John 14:6 states, He is the only way to the Father. During his time on earth, he carried out his heroics in a non-violent fashion. He conquered with love and compassion. God governs the world through love, so it is needless for his Son to practice or inflict violence. According to Eric Jones's article on lifehopeandtruth.com, he describes the teachings of Christ as he preached during the Sermon on the Mount. As found in Matthew 6 and 7, Christ describes his core tenets to his followers, and paramount among them was the requirement that they be led by peace and not violence and war. Jones elaborates, saying that Christ insists that all of his followers operate through love, and that love is the highest form of peace and non-violence. Throughout the Gospels, we learn of Jesus and his peaceful preaching. We are ordained by him to drown out evil with the overwhelming glory of goodness. Those that follow such a path shall be favored in the eyes of the Lord. In Matthew 5:9, Jesus states, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Any man who carries out the righteousness of God by establishing peace will be a favored child in the eyes of the Lord. The reign of evildoers over this world cannot last when the children of God inspire a contagious goodness that will turn the tide on the accustomed normalcy of oppression. This shift cannot be accomplished without Christ's compassion. In the book of Luke, chapter 6, Christ heals those in need on the Sabbath, an act that goes against traditional norms. He goes on to choose his disciples and deliver the words similar to the Sermon on the Mount. He preaches a teaching and pronounces blessings known as the Beatitudes. He preaches these previously unheard of notions, such as radical love, meaning that everyone is capable and worthy of receiving love, even your enemies. In Luke 27-28, Jesus says, "But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you." Such radical notions of unconditional love came as a shock to all of Jesus' listeners. They found themselves confused, yet overwhelmingly compelled to carry out Christ's command. Christ preaches these ideals of love because he knows that his higher purpose is upon him, for the end will spell no different for him if violence ensues. His purpose and sacrifice must be fulfilled regardless. So it is better that he leave his listeners with the word of love than for any call to take up arms. You cannot create peace through unrelenting violence towards the enemy. Rampant bloodshed is not a proper foundation for a peaceful world. The horrors of war leave the world broken and crushed under the weight of unchecked hatred. In Action Comics 1036 through 1042, The Arena, Superman leads a ragtag team of heroes to free his estranged Kryptonian kin and the rest of the slaves from the tyranny of the mighty Mongol. After battling aliens and other demons in a gladiator-style fight, Superman and his team fall before the audiences of Warworld. Some of the team is lost and Superman is thrown in prison, but the seeds sown by their defiance will later reap rebellion. While in prison with the rest of this planet's downtrodden, one of Superman's team members, known as Midnighter, comes to rescue him. Midnighter tells Superman that he is breaking him out and they will find the others and escape this hellhole of a planet. Superman refuses to abandon the mission and the people in need of rescuing. Furious, Midnighter tells Superman how foolish and hopeless it is to keep fighting. He's enraged at the fact that the lives of people Superman does not know could matter to him more than the friends he embarked on this mission with. Midnighter storms off, and Superman, broken, bloody, and beaten, weakly utters the worth of their lives. He says that their lives matter not more, but not less. Here we see Superman in a weakened state, insisting that all lives are of equal value to him. From his friends to the prisoners, to even the people that cheered for his demise in the arena, he will not place the life of another above anyone else when they are all crushed under the chains of oppression. Unbeknownst to Superman, the other prisoners hear these words and find themselves in disbelief that someone would show them such unwavering compassion on this brutal and unforgiving planet. Later in this comic, Superman has broken free from the prison and has incited his insurrection against the planet's raging tyrant. The people of this planet have chosen to follow him and have abandoned their twisted traditions of violence and aggression to cultivate a peaceful and loving culture. In the heat of battle, one inhabitant of this warring world turns to another and says, "Remember the words of the Superman. No life is worth more or less than our own, not even our enemy." Here, you can see the cultural shift begin to take place in the hearts of the once downtrodden as they are embracing the unconditional and radical love over the harshness that is required to survive in this world. Superman is seen as a savior to the enslaved people of Warworld because of his devotion to the idea that all life is equally valuable. This is a form of radical love that these brutalized people have never experienced before. It is not that Superman's stories will be identical to the life of Jesus, because no one's life could ever be equal to the Son of God, but his stories will form similarly and be embedded with the same teachings such as radical and unconditional love and compassion for your enemies. This is what will ultimately separate you from them. That unyielding compassion. Bishop Mari Emanuel, one of the foremost Christian leaders in the world, appeared on Patrick Bet-David's podcast to explain the holiness and eternal love of Christ. At one point, The bishop describes Christ's perceived physical weakness, citing the brutality he faced in the streets of Jerusalem and his eventual crucifixion, giving those who do not understand the impression that he is some sort of weak God. The bishop clarifies when he states that Jesus' detractors,
but they do not understand the concept of love. On the other hand, if there has been any man in the history of humanity that changed the history of mankind, is the one and only Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He is the only one who changed the history of mankind without carrying one sword or one bullet. He changed the world with love. Love is foundational. Love is the supreme ethic.
the bishop is describing how through Christ's example and insistence that everything is to be done out of love, he was able to lay a foundation for a new world that did not as often or as regularly succumb to the horrors of brutality. The impact Christ had on the world is irrefutably supportive of Alan Wright's claim that this is a real hero and not a comic book hero. However, the reenactment of this supreme ethic and the insistence of it is how we create comic book heroes such as Superman. Throughout his battles on Warworld, Superman refused to pick up a weapon and demanded that justice be dealt with fist alone. He knew he could not save this society from the savagery of slavery with a violent siege. As the bishop said, love is foundational. So the society that would arise from the broken shackles must be started with love at its center. It is so inspirational to the point where the downtrodden remember the words of the Superman in the heat of battle. This is how we see the teachings of Jesus present in our comic book heroes, because the fictional savior, who serves as that avatar for his own mythology, will be inspired by that same wisdom to defeat that same evil. You must love thy enemy, because only love can defeat thy enemy.